Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on this Wednesday night, the 9th night of protests across this country demanding change after the death of George Floyd. And tonight, the major news here, all 4 former police officers involved have now been charged in his death. Derek Chauvin, his knee on Floyd's neck for nearly 9 minutes, charges against him now upgraded from 3rd to 2nd degree murder. To Tao, who stood by, now charged with aiding and abetting murder. And the same for Thomas Lane and J. Alexander King, who authorities say helped hold Floyd down. In Minneapolis, a cheer went up at the spot where Floyd died when they received word that all 4 would be charged. At the same time, across this country tonight, thousands are marching in the streets. This is from New York City, also gathering not far from the White House. On the move in Detroit tonight, and in Los Angeles, massive crowds gathering again, demanding justice. In announcing the charges, Minnesota's Attorney General said that he is seeking justice for George Floyd and his family because George Floyd mattered, he said. His life had value. At the same time, he said that convicting police officers is difficult. Late today, former President Obama and his new message to young men and women of color in this country. And there are also breaking developments at this hour involving President Trump and his defense secretary. We'll guide you through it all again tonight, and we're going to begin with these new charges against those ex-officers. And ABC's Alex Perez leads us off from Minneapolis.
As protests spread around the world, tonight all 4 fired Minneapolis police officers now charged in connection with the death of George Floyd.
Here today because George Floyd is not here. He should be here. He should be alive, but he's not.
The state's attorney general increasing charges to 2nd degree murder for Derek Chauvin, the officer seen digging his knee into Floyd's neck for nearly 9 minutes.
Please, I can't breathe.
The other 3 officers, To Tao, J. Alexander King, and Thomas Lane, now charged with aiding and abetting 2nd degree murder.
George Floyd mattered. He was loved. His family was important. His life had value. And we will seek justice for him and for you, and we will find it.
The complaint also says Officer Tao got a hobble restraint to bind Floyd's feet, but the officers decided not to use it and instead stayed on top of him. According to the original complaint, one of the officers said, "Should we roll him on his side?" But Chauvin didn't do that. Floyd's family attorney calling the new charges a step towards justice.
I believe this is the tipping point in America, where we finally address something they don't like to talk about.
The crowd erupting as word spread that the other officers were being charged.
All 4 officers have been charged.
Yeah! We got all 4.
We got all 4.
The autopsy commissioned by Floyd's family found it was a homicide by asphyxiation and that the other officers seen in this video restraining Floyd may have contributed to his death.
The weight of the other 2 police officers on his back, who not only prevented blood flow into his brain, but also airflow into his lungs.
The official medical examiner's autopsy also found it was a homicide, but pointing to cardiopulmonary arrest that was complicated by law enforcement restraint and neck compression. But family experts say it wasn't his heart, it was the pressure applied by officers. The day started with Floyd's son Quincy visiting the site.
How important is change? What do you want to see happen?
We need change. This can't happen to anybody else.
Quincy kneeling and praying where his 46-year-old father took his last breaths, tonight applauding the arrest.
My father should have not been killed like this. We deserve justice.
And Floyd's bright-eyed 6-year-old daughter Gianna speaking about her father to our Eva Pilgrim.
What do you want people to know?
Kind of that I miss him. He played with me.
Gianna's mother, Roxy Washington, says Floyd loved his daughter and she's struggling to explain his death.
She doesn't know what happened. I told her that her dad died because he couldn't breathe.
But little Gianna does know about her father's legacy.
He did what?
That changed the world.
So let's get to Alex Perez in Minneapolis again tonight at that growing memorial there behind you. So powerful to hear from his little girl. And Alex, late today, the state attorney general did make a point of saying that prosecuting officers is always difficult.
Yeah, David, he said extremely difficult, but they say with the evidence they are collecting right now, they feel they have a case. They are building a case where they will be able to get a conviction. This community here, David, now preparing for that big memorial tomorrow afternoon. David?
Alex Perez.